Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Record. I'm John Bachman, in for Greta Van Susteren today. It's about to happen. In about an hour or so, the House is expected to vote on a spending bill to reopen the government and end this shutdown, the longest shutdown in U.S. history at 43 days. Here's what the top House Democrat and top House Republican said earlier.
We believe the long national nightmare will be over tonight. It was completely and utterly foolish and pointless in the end, as we said all along.
House Democrats are here on the Capitol steps to reiterate our strong opposition to this spending bill because it fails to address the Republican health care crisis.
And at any moment, House Speaker Mike Johnson is set to swear in the newest member of the House, Adelita Grijalva. And why does this matter? Well, she is a Democrat from Arizona who won a special election to replace her father, Raul Grijalva, who died in March. Her swearing in could lead to a floor fight over Jeffrey Epstein. Her signature could be the last needed to force a vote that could compel the DOJ to release more files related to the convicted sex offender. We'll monitor her swearing in and bring you any news that comes from the House. Well, speaking of Epstein, Democrats in the House have released new emails that reference President Trump, apparently. We'll have more on that later this hour. And as we wait for the end of the government shutdown, America's airports have been a bit of a mess lately. Today, things have calmed down a bit, but will everything be back to normal by Thanksgiving? Also this hour, Venezuela mobilizes troops as U.S. warships sail into the region. Are we seeing just saber rattling, or could this be something serious? But first, the White House says President Trump hopes to sign the funding bill into law by tonight to get the government back up and running. The White House also reiterates who is to blame here. White House correspondent Mike Carter joins us live now with the latest. And what is the situation there this evening, Mike?
Yeah, John, good evening. Well, as the longest government shutdown in history looks to be coming to an end in just hours from now after the House passes that bill, it'll be sent over here to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, awaiting the president's signature. Caroline Leavitt saying today she expects the president to sign that bill into action, ending the shutdown this evening. But Leavitt also saying today, John, she's really holding steadfast on the Trump administration's belief that all of the shutdown, the blame for it anyways, and all of those flight delays and cancellations, all of those missed government paychecks and SNAP benefits and other effects of this 43-day shutdown, they should be placed, that blame is, squarely at the feet of one party and one party only.
The Democrats' weakness and their unwillingness to buck the fringe members of their party dragged this harmful shutdown on for 7 weeks and inflicted massive pain onto the American public. But let's be clear. The clean CR being voted on today in the House of Representatives that will lead to the reopening of the federal government is what President Trump and Republicans have supported from day one.
Well, also today on the same day, Democrats on the House Oversight Committee released a series of emails they claim further ties President Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. Caroline Leavitt answering a question from a CBS News reporter today, really laying into her, John, saying that these emails show nothing other than to promote a fake narrative pushed to smear President Trump.
This email you refer to with the name of a victim that was unredacted now and has since been reported on in this room, so I will go ahead and say it, Virginia Giuffre. And it was CBS's own reporting, Ouija, that recently wrote that Miss Giuffre maintained, and God rest her soul, that she maintained that there was nothing inappropriate she ever witnessed, that President Trump was always extremely professional and friendly to her.
Well, with all of the buzz around Epstein today, it wasn't shocking to see FBI Director Kash Patel walking into this afternoon's press briefing. But Patel, who didn't take any questions from the media, announcing today that the Trump administration has struck a deal with Beijing to put an end to deadly fentanyl precursors coming out of China.
Effective immediately, essentially, President Trump has shut off the pipeline that creates fentanyl that kills tens of thousands of Americans.
And John, the White House is saying today that the jobs report and CPI numbers for the month of October may never be released due to this shutdown. The White House says blaming Democrats for permanently damaging the federal statistical system, and it says it impairs policymakers at the Federal Reserve. Tonight, as the president awaits this bill to sign that CR and reopen the federal government, President Trump hosting a dinner tonight for some Wall Street CEOs, some techs some tycoons of Wall Street, including CEO Jamie Dimon of J.P. Morgan Chase and Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon. Big night at the White House. We'll be monitoring to see what happens on Capitol Hill. John?
Yeah, Mike, that was one of the questions at the press briefing. There was another question that caught our attention today, and that was a question about the 50-year mortgage plan that the White House has floated. And there was a question about Bill Pulte, who was apparently the architect of this plan, and whether or not the White House was happy with the way it was rolled out. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, there's been a lot of reports, John, that the White House was caught off guard this past weekend when Bill Pulte revealed this plan. He said, essentially saying, look, FDR had a 30-year mortgage plan. Why not a 50-year Trump mortgage plan? We're still waiting to hear more clarity if the White House is behind Bill Pulte on this plan. But obviously, this has caused a lot of consternation within the Republican Party, most notably Marjorie Taylor Greene, who says this is simply a bad idea, in debt forever, in debt for life. People will be paying off mortgages well into their 80s and 90s. So hopefully we'll hear more from the White House tomorrow on that.
Yeah, we certainly know that the economic aspects are on the radar of the White House. Affordability, in particular, one of the things they're focused on right now. Mike Carter, live for us at the White House. Mike, thank you.
Good to see you, John.
Coming up, Venezuela is mobilizing its troops. We'll tell you where and why when the record continues.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age with my wife Shirley, who is 83. Now both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now neither of us have any kind of sickness, and we're as flexible as we were 30 years ago, and we still do the physical things we did 30 years ago. Now we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you. You won't believe it. Immuno 150 is an awesome nutritional supplement. There's nothing like it.
Yes, it really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order online or call the number listed on the screen, but don't place your order until after you've watched the videos on our website. Thank you from both of us, and God bless.
A peace plan for Gaza. For the plan to advance, Hamas must disarm. Instead,
tonight, terrifying images emerging from Gaza. Videos show Hamas-linked gunmen carrying out a public execution as they return to the streets.
Hamas on a rampage, executing Palestinians, bloody crackdown, spreading terror. For freedom, not terror, Hamas must go.
Now to the nation's borders and the ongoing crackdown on illegal immigration. In September of this year, there were about 11,600 CBP encounters at the southern border. That compares to more than 101,000 in September of last year under President Biden, which means there was a 90% decrease. In the Midwest, Operation Midway Blitz, led by DHS and ICE, has been targeting and arresting illegal criminal aliens. Today, DHS says the operation has led to a historic drop in crime in Chicago. President Trump revealing some of the highlights in a Truth Social post, saying, quote, "Since the launch of the DHS Operation Midway Blitz in Chicago only weeks ago, shootings are down 35%, robberies are down 41%, and carjackings are down 50%. Marcos Charles is the acting executive associate director of enforcement and removal operations with ICE. It's great to have you with us, sir.
Hey, thank you, John. Thanks for having me.
I think a lot of us predicted this was going to be the case. When you apply the proper amount of law enforcement to a problem like Chicago, you're going to see results. Are these the results that you were expecting?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the men and women of ICE going out there and arresting criminal aliens is what this was all about. And we continue to be out there. We're going to continue to do our work day in and day out. Operation Midway Blitz is not discontinuing. We're going to be out there arresting and continuing arresting these illegal aliens and reducing the crime that's in the city that's going on out there in the Chicagoland area.
We've seen ICE agents be shot at. We've seen people try to ram their cars into ICE conducting operations. I mean, talk to us about the resistance that they still face out on the streets every day, despite the success.
The men, like I said, the men and women of ICE and DHS that are out there participating in these operations day in and day out, they go out there to enforce the laws, yet, with the rhetoric by Governor Pritzker and the mayor in Chicago, I feel that's what's encouraging these incidents. The people of Chicago they're not bad people, but the people that are out there interfering with what we're doing, trying to stop us from doing our mission, arresting illegal aliens, they're the ones that are causing the violence out there, the violent rhetoric that's on social media. They're the ones that are out there putting the rest of the public in danger. If the sanctuary policies of the state and the city would just be removed and that the city and the state would work with ICE, we wouldn't have these incidents, because then those criminal aliens would just be turned over to us at the jails.
Talk to us about some of the other areas of concern that ICE is looking at around the country. Where else do you see ICE enforcement being needed right now?
ICE enforcement's needed all over the country right now, John. We're going to be out there. We have operational surges planned throughout the country. We'll be hitting different cities throughout, the administration, and we'll be out there doing our job, arresting illegal aliens in sanctuary areas, and we'll be out arresting illegal aliens on the highways and wherever illegal aliens are in this country.
I know to a certain extent the social media team at ICE and DHS has had to take a back seat to the government shutdown, but I am very much looking forward to seeing that get up and going again. I think it's been a great story and a way to tell the story of ICE, and I assume raise morale as well, because we know the recruiting numbers at ICE are off the charts.
100%. I mean, ICE is the premier law enforcement agency that everybody wants to join right now. We have thousands of recruits. We're looking at tripling our workforce. We're out there on the street. We're out there enforcing the laws of this country, the immigration laws of this country, and taking bad people off the street and removing them to the countries to which they belong.
Well, we wish everyone out there the best as they try to keep this country safe, despite of what they're facing from people like Brandon Johnson and J.B. Pritzker. Marcos Charles, thank you so much. Great to have you with us this evening.
Thank you, John.
Well, Venezuela is launching a massive mobilization of military personnel, weapons, and equipment to the Caribbean Sea. According to Venezuela's defense minister, the deployment is in response to the buildup of U.S. warships in the region. Just yesterday, the U.S. Navy's largest warship, the USS Gerald R. Ford, entered the Caribbean as part of the Southern Command operations there. The Pentagon says the warship was sent to the Caribbean to, quote, detect, monitor, and disrupt drug trafficking networks in the region. Let's welcome in now Director of Florida International University's Institute for Public Policy, Bryan Fonseca joins us now. Bryan, great to see you again.
Thanks, John.
Well, we see the U.S. mobilizing to the Caribbean. We hear that Venezuela is doing the same thing now. Where does this ultimately lead?
Well, I think what the U.S. is hoping is that it leads to a fracture within Venezuela, an implosion within either the political elite or the military elite, that it doesn't have to do much more than sort of flex its muscle in the Caribbean, target some boats. It could ultimately, sort of lean towards the strikes within Venezuela at targets related to illicit trafficking networks. But ultimately, that's what the U.S. is hoping. I think on the other end, Maduro and the Venezuelan political elite regime are hoping to survive that pressure, hoping that the elite and sort of military leadership stay intact, that they don't buckle under the pressure of the Americans, and that they can weather the storm that the Americans are bringing in the Caribbean right now.
Earlier today, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that the U.S. is taking back Latin America through our economic leadership, adding that there will be no bullets. Bryan, what are your thoughts on the economic aspect of this combat?
Yeah, I mean, certainly what this is all about is deepening our relationships here in the Western Hemisphere. I think that Secretary of State Marco Rubio and other leadership within the Trump administration have made it clear that they're sort of re-emphasizing the importance of the Western Hemisphere in American foreign policy, something that experts have sort of challenged the Americans to do in past decades, to sort of re-emphasize the importance of this region, and largely not just about drug trafficking, not just about sort of autocracies like Venezuela, Cuba, and Nicaragua, but also to displace American rivals like China, who have grown incredibly deep sort of roots within the region over the last 25 years in an economic context, in a diplomatic context, and certainly in a security context.
Yeah, I've been to Jamaica a couple times since the hurricane, and you can see the Chinese influence in Jamaica, and just another reminder just how widespread it is across the region. I wanted to ask you also about Secretary of War Pete Hegseth. He's saying the Trump administration has all the authority necessary to continue to strike these drug boats in South American waters. Do you agree with Secretary Hegseth?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's certainly a debate that's happening not just sort of in the United States between parties and sort of legislative bodies trying to determine whether or not the president has the ability to designate these cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. That's one debate going on, and I think the president has asserted that these are incredibly complex criminal enterprises that do wreak violence and havoc on people that are affected by the proliferation of narcotics and the broader violence that happens with transnational criminal networks. There's another debate going on in the international community, one sort of within the legal bodies of the international community, as well as the court of public opinion and the broader global perception of whether or not the United States has the authority to target citizens of other nations that may be operating in sort of a criminal context as opposed to a insurgency or terrorist context. And I think that's the big debate. There's certainly a fine line there, but the president is using that argument, letting the courts figure that out, whilst the Department of War continues to move forward in the absence of any real sort of contest, moving forward with targeting those criminal enterprises in the region.
While we wait for some guidance from the courts, the CNN is actually reporting that the United Kingdom is suspending some of its intelligence sharing with the United States over these drug boat strikes. Do you think that's going to have any significant effect?
I don't think it's going to have a huge effect, because I think the United States and sort of the intelligence community that operates in this hemisphere is incredibly adept at sort of understanding the region, and they have tremendous access and understanding of the region. I think it's more symbolic. Countries like the UK, we heard Colombia do this recently as well, sort of suspend intelligence sharing. I think those are largely symbolic gestures that may be lining up with the broader international consensus. The United States may be overreaching on this, but I'm not sure that's going to have any real operational effect. It may have effect in sort of relations, at least for now, but no real operational effect undermining the U.S. ability to do what they're doing in the Caribbean.
Yeah, we have a woman like Maria Corina Machado, who has a mandate, I think, from a lot of the Venezuelan people to take over should something happen to Nicolas Maduro. One of the things you and I have talked about is the prospect of arresting Nicolas Maduro. There are indictments against him. Could he go the way of Manuel Noriega?
I mean, he certainly could. If the U.S. were to, and again, I think it's a highly unlikely scenario, but if the U.S. were to invade or were to intervene physically on the ground in Venezuela and arrest Maduro, I think that certainly could go the path. The U.S. has, again, as you mentioned, John, indicted Maduro so they could bring him back here and try him in the United States. And ultimately, he ends up in a prison not far from where I am, where Manuel Noriega sat for a long period of time in South Florida. I think that's certainly a plausible path. I think what the U.S. is maybe hoping for instead is that there is democratic forces that rise up. There's a fracture within the elite. Maduro is either thrown in jail in Venezuela or is exiled, in another country, let's say in Russia, for example. I think that's what the U.S. is sort of, that's probably a more realistic path in the U.S. invading and bringing him here, but certainly within the realm of possibility.
Exiled to Russia, like Bashar al-Assad, who we don't hear much from
right
anymore these days. Bryan Fonseca, always great to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back live to Capitol Hill now. We mentioned there is a vote happening and a swearing-in ceremony. This is Adelita Grijalva. She is speaking now. Let's listen in.
Right now to release the Epstein files. Justice cannot wait another day. Adelante, mi gente. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. I yield back.
All right, you might notice here that there's not much happening on the right side of your screen. That's where Republicans normally sit. But Adelita Grijalva, now sworn in as a member of Congress, the Democrat from Arizona, took the same seat left by her father after he passed away earlier this year. And tonight she will join her colleagues and vote on a funding bill that could end the government shutdown. Democrats vowing to fight on that. We'll have more live coverage for you throughout the evening here on Newsmax. Do not go away. Coming up here on The Record, some new emails have been released related to disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. And tangentially to President Trump, we'll talk about that when The Record continues.
Hey, it's Mark Lauder. My career's taken me from the State House to the White House, campaigns for mayor, all the way to President of the United States. I came to Newsmax to help our viewers get more than the headlines, beyond the spin. It's a perspective you'll only see on Newsmax.
It's the holiday season on Solitaire Grand Harvest, and now you have a chance to win a premium baking kit. Enjoy festive solitaire adventures with fun challenges. Step into Sonny's kitchen. He's already cooking up a feast and looking for a co-chef. Tastes like a win to me. Join the millions already enjoying exciting levels and mini games. Download Solitaire Grand Harvest for free now and get a chance to win a holiday baking kit. New winner every week.
Have you compared your Medicare plan recently? With eHealth, you can compare Medicare plans side by side for free. So we invited people to give eHealth a try and discover how easy it can be to find your Medicare match.
This is pretty amazing. I can go on a vacation with this money. I have quite a few prescriptions.
That's why people call us. We're going to compare plans, and I'm going to try to get you as much bang for your buck as possible.
That's great.
This one here covers all your prescriptions, your doctors as well.
Oh, wonderful.
I have a hard time with this.
That's okay. That's what I'm here for. Based on our conversation today, I would highly recommend this plan.
You're so helpful. You don't know.
I'm excited for you, sir. Again, my name is Cham. If you have any other questions, give me a ring.
Thank you very much. Oh my God, that was super easy.
See how your Medicare plan stacks up with the big changes for 2026. Just call this number or get started at eHealth.com. Compare plans that cover your doctors, prescriptions, pharmacy, and budget. And compare plans from the nation's top insurance companies. They pay us to help you. How much do you think you'll be able to save using eHealth?
At least $300 a month.
Would you say you found your Medicare match?
Yes, I did. What Cham did, she explained to me exactly what I needed to know.
Well, I have a surprise for you. Cham, come on out.
Oh my goodness.
It's a pleasure to meet you today, sir. What does it feel like to be face to face?
You helped me out quite a bit.
Call to meet your advisor. They're paid the same no matter which Medicare Advantage plan you choose. Ask them about eHealth Live Advise or get started on your own at eHealth.com. Either way, it's always a free service. See if you could get more for less with eHealth, like these folks did.
The savings are unbelievable.
I could see the costs side by side.
eHealth is wonderful. $1,200 savings in my pocket. I was really pleasantly surprised with that.
Call 1-800-708-0234 to compare Medicare plans in your area or visit eHealth.com.
eHealth, your Medicare matchmaker.
At Lumber Liquidators, we have the best prices on flooring, and we guarantee it. Find a lower price, we will beat it with our best price guarantee. We have over 200 stores nationwide. Find yours at lumberliquidators.com. Tell them Tom sent you.
I'm Elmer Heinrich. At 91 years of age, here with my wife Shirley, who is 83. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now, we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you.
It really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order now. You'll be glad you did.
Democrats on the House Oversight Committee have released new emails from disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein. The subject of all these emails, you guessed it, President Donald Trump. The first email exchange from April 2nd, 2011 is between Epstein and his former companion, Ghislaine Maxwell. That email sent from Epstein to Maxwell reads in part, quote, "I want you to realize that that dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim," which the victim was redacted in this email, "spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned. Maxwell responded, quote, I have been thinking about that. I have been thinking about that, she said. The next email exchange is from December 15th to December 16th of 2015 and is between Epstein and author Michael Wolff. Wolff writes to Epstein, quote, I hear CNN planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you, either on air or in scrum afterwards. Epstein replies to Wolff saying, quote, if we were to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be? Wolff replies to Epstein saying, quote, I think you should let him hang himself. Wolff replied the next day, if he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the house, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you, or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course, it's possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime. Now, there's a third email between Epstein and Wolff from January 31st, 2019. Some of this email is redacted, but it reads, quote, victim. Again, that's the redacted part here. Mar-a-Lago, Trump said he asked me to resign, never a member ever. Of course, he knew about the girls and he asked Ghislaine to stop. Let's welcome in now Judicial Watch attorney Christina Bobb. Also joining us, trial attorney and founder of Lead AI Legal, Bryan Rotella, is here. Great to see you both.
Thanks, John.
All right, Christina, first to you. The first red flag, I think, for anybody in this whole entire exchange is the fact that Michael Wolff is involved in these emails with Jeffrey Epstein. This guy has been discredited many times over. You know, and again, very suspicious that Democrats decided to redact the name of Virginia Giuffre when her name had already been released in the same set of emails.
Yeah, I think this is much ado about nothing. And I am of the opinion, I would love to see more information about the Epstein files come out. I'm not in any way, trying to limit that. I just don't think this is anything new. And if anything, it makes Donald Trump look good because he was telling them to stop. So if this is the most damaging thing they have found specifically about Donald Trump, I don't think they really have anything. There doesn't seem to be a lot there. So these emails for me are somewhat underwhelming and, just kind of par for the course.
Bryan, in your opinion, what do you think these emails prove?
John, I agree with Christina, but you remember Seinfeld and when Jerry and George are pitching their show to the producer and they say it's a show about nothing. And he says, it's got to be about something. They say, no, it's about nothing. These emails to me as a trial lawyer for an evidentiary purpose are about nothing. They're hearsay, John. Donald Trump is not the recipient. He's not writing anywhere in any of these emails. What that means for us in a court of law, this is hearsay we don't trust. Why don't we trust it? Why wouldn't it be allowed into any court? Jeffrey Epstein is dead. You can't cross-examine him. You can't be able to test the veracity of this. Plus, he was a convicted felon. So to Christina's point, if this is what is getting released by the president's opponents, to me, there's no case here whatsoever involving Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. And I agree, I'd like to see more of the file because if this is the best that they have, this would never see the light of day in court. It is completely inadmissible hearsay.
Christina, this reminds me of one of those magic tricks where the magician makes something go up in flames real quickly, so everyone is focused on that. Meanwhile, there's some other sleight of hand going on here. And we had this, we just showed it, this newly sworn Congresswoman Adelita Grijalva just signing a discharge position, the last signature needed to compel the DOJ to release more of these files of the convicted sex offender. This is not something Democrats have always been hot about. Suddenly they are, of course. Tell us what you think happens next from the DOJ standpoint.
Well, I hope that they actually release all of the information. And if we're all being honest, the people that are most incriminated or likely to be incriminated by this probably fall on both sides of the aisle. I don't think that this is a party issue, which is why it's been covered up from Republican to Democrat to Republican administration. I don't think this falls along party lines. And so I don't know who's implicated or what's implicated. And certainly I think the Department of Justice will do everything that it can to not wrongly incriminate, or make accusations about anybody unfairly. But yeah, I mean, let's see it. I want to see more information. Let's get it out there. America wants to know, are we being run by pedophiles? So I'd like to see the information.
It's hard to think that after all this time, information like Donald Trump being directly involved or any other, we know about Prince Andrew, that information is just now coming to light. But Bryan, also today, Republicans released 23,000 pages of files from Jeffrey Epstein. This is what I was referencing. I believe this is where Virginia Giuffre's name was not redacted in the estate's files. Someone's going to have to read these 23,000 pages. What do you think is in these documents?
I don't know that we know, John, but to Christina's point, I think we need to know. Jeffrey Epstein keeps coming up in every single, it seems like every other month. And I do think, to her point, we don't want to think that our government is being run by people that were involved in this type of pedophile monster behavior. But I don't know that there's going to be any real there, and specifically where it's been pointed, which is against Donald Trump, the citizen, and President Trump. And I'll just say, getting back to this whole idea for the audience around hearsay, and as a trial lawyer, when I see all these emails and people trying to make assumptions, think of it this way. If someone said something about you that was a rumor at a party, and then you went to jail or were held liable because of that, and you couldn't test that person's veracity in any way, would that be fair? So I have a bit of a problem. I do want light of day on all this stuff, but as a trial lawyer and from an admissibility perspective and holding anyone culpable, especially if something this serious, I like the rules we have in law about hearsay, and I think we should be thinking about that. And God knows we have a lot of lawyers, probably too many of them in Congress, and maybe they should be thinking about that as some of this stuff gets released.
Real quickly, Christina, about 30 seconds to left. You guys are both lawyers, but Christina, rarely when you get this type of information, it is cut and dried. It's not as cut and dried as 2 + 2 = 4. And I think there's an insatiable appetite for people thinking they're going to find, some little boxed up story about what actually happened. That might not be the case. People need to get to accept that idea.
Yeah, I think that probably very much is the case. I don't think we're going to get, the smoking gun or an actual list. But I do think releasing the documents is helpful for the American people to feel like their government is more transparent. But I don't think there's going to be a gotcha on anything. I mean, very rarely in legal cases does that actually happen.
Yeah, not like on Law and Order, which we're also accustomed to, one of those dun-dun moments. All right, Bryan, Christina, great to see you both. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
All right, the hypocrisy from the left continues. Remember this from 2021?
The defund movement seeks to actually bring about healing and finally invest in our communities to make them safer, addressing the root causes of crime, and by allowing the professionals to do their respective jobs. Defund is about finally being smart on crime. Defund is about lightening the load for our officers of all things they didn't sign up for. Defund is about finally being fiscally responsible when it comes to policing in this state.
Flashback, that was Democratic Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett calling to defund the police. But get this, according to a recent Federal Election Commission filing, Crockett spent nearly $75,000 on luxury hotels, transportation, and security this year in cities across the United States. $50,000 of that money was spent exclusively on security expenses. You cannot make this stuff up. She thinks you guys should be paying for that. Well, the grandson of former President John F. Kennedy is now running for Congress. His name is Jack Schlossberg.
The president has made almost $1 billion this year. He's picking winners and losers from inside the Oval Office. It's cronyism, not capitalism. I'm not running because I have all the answers to our problems. I'm running because the people of New York 12 do. I want to listen to your struggles, hear your stories, amplify your voice, go to Washington, and execute on your behalf.
JFK's 32-year-old grandson calls himself JBK, as in Jack Bouvier Kennedy. He is running to replace Congressman Jerry Nadler, who is retiring. It is already a crowded field with at least 10 candidates in that race. We'll see how it goes. Coming up, how long will it take to get our nation's airports back to normal? We'll hear from Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy when the record continues.
You know, I think the biggest selling point for Newsmax is we're not doing the same boring, predictable news. You flip through the other channels, you got these high-paid hosts. They say the same thing every night. You know what they're going to say. It's a little different.
Hi, I'm Ben Cozy. Isn't traveling a pain in the neck? You're cramped, uncomfortable, and forget about getting any rest. There's nothing cozy about airplane seats or hard plastic benches, and those so-called travel pillows, they just don't cut it. You don't need another travel pillow. You need Be Cozy, the world's most comfortable neck pillow. Trapped in the middle seat? Wrap Be Cozy around your neck to stop chin drop, bobblehead napping. Smashed up against the window? Fold Be Cozy over and tuck it onto your shoulder for super side support. Frequent flyer miles got you sitting aisle? Turn Be Cozy to the side for the perfect pillow position. Everyone wants to be cozy, so get the world's most comfortable travel neck pillow and be cozy just like me, Ben Cozy. You get to be cozy. Everyone gets a Be Cozy. Only Be Cozy has patented overlapping arms so you get double support and the comfort you need in any seat on any trip. Go online right now and get this exclusive TV offer. Buy one Be Cozy, get one 50% off. Get yours now.
AI company Palantir makes critical decisions for governments around the world. In 2019, Palantir bought $50 million in gold in case of black swan events. Not surprising, what followed. In 2020, a pandemic shut down the global economy. And in 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine. In 2023, we had a regional banking collapse. And in 2025, could a 1929 market crash be the final straw? Give Patriot Gold Group a call at 888-528-4290 before it's too late. Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold and silver dealer 8 years in a row, home of the no-fee-for-life IRA. Patriot Gold Group is patriots protecting patriots. Call now, 888-528-4290.
A peace plan for Gaza. For the plan to advance, Hamas must disarm. Instead,
tonight, terrifying images emerging from Gaza. Videos show Hamas-linked gunmen carrying out a public execution as they return to the streets.
Hamas on a rampage, executing Palestinians, bloody crackdown, spreading terror. For freedom, not terror, Hamas must go.
We're down here in Wimberley, Texas, to build a smart home for Dustin Weber.
We want to welcome the Weber family to Wimberley.
Yesterday was just amazing.
The thought that has been put into these smart homes, they've thought of everything that will make his life better.
This home allows me the freedom to experience my children, taking them to bed. This home allows me the freedom to not slip and fall in the bathroom. It is a life-changing experience.
Big East basketball on TNT Sports. UConn women take on Loyola Chicago tonight, 7 Eastern on True TV and stream on HBO Max.
More chaos at our nation's airports. According to FlightAware, so far today, there have been more than 1,600 flight delays and more than 890 flight cancellations. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says in order to get things back to normal, air traffic controllers need to come back to work.
Can you give us a timeline of what it might look like when the government does reopen to get things back to normal for the flying public and for the airports all across the country?
That's a great question. So we're going to wait to see the data on our end before we take out the restrictions in travel. That 6% we have in place right now. But it depends on controllers coming back to work. My concern is for those air traffic controllers who, before they missed a paycheck and we were in the shutdown, they decided on a continual basis not to show up for work. They don't know how long the shutdown was going to be. They hadn't missed a pay period, and they didn't come to work. I'm concerned about those controllers. I'm concerned about their dedication. I'm concerned about their patriotism.
Senior correspondent John Huddy joined us live now from Fort Lauderdale International Airport with the latest on the situation there. John, good afternoon.
Yeah, and John, the other thing that Secretary Duffy talked about
was the fact that there's more air traffic controllers retiring and some of the veteran ones. So that's going to create residual problems even after the shutdown ends and things start to get kind of back on track. But Secretary Duffy said, look, there will be, quote, mass chaos if the shutdown continues, and it looks like it's going on the right track and may end. And also if the FAA mandated flight cuts, 6%, that went into effect yesterday, 8% that's supposed to start tomorrow, and then 10% on Friday, also continue. That said, FlightAware is reporting a little more than 1,600, as you just mentioned, delays into, within, and out of the United States, and 899 cancellations. We've seen the delays go up quite a bit throughout the day. Cancellations have stayed right around that area, about 890 to 899 at this point. There was expected to be anywhere from 1,500 to 2,000 cancellations nationwide today. However, Secretary Duffy said that, as I was mentioning, a lot more air traffic controllers, his words, are coming back to work. So there's been, as we've been seeing over the last few days, a decline in cancellations compared with over the weekend when it was really bad, and then even Monday when there was more than 9,600 delays and 2,400 cancellations nationwide. But again, Secretary Duffy warned of, and I'm going to say it, quote, mass chaos, his words, if the shutdown continues and those flight cuts go on as well. Here at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport, FLL, as the airport code is, things have been moving along. There's been some delays, there's been a couple cancellations, but really not bad compared to other major airports such as Chicago O'Hare, Dallas Fort Worth, San Francisco, LAX, Atlanta, Hartsfield-Jackson in Atlanta as well. But nonetheless, people are concerned. Here's what a couple, though, travelers had to say about their trip. Listen.
Where'd you come in from? Detroit? Any problems?
Not at all.
None whatsoever.
It was nice.
Easy sailing. You're lucky.
Yeah.
You're lucky. There's a lot of other problems, obviously.
1,500 flights were canceled on Monday in Detroit. Unbelievable, but we made it.
Okay, where are you going?
Atlanta.
And how's it looking? What are you flying?
We're delayed. I'm on Delta, and we're delayed by about 45 minutes.
Okay.
Yes.
So not terrible. What do you think of all the government employees, TSA agents, air traffic controllers working without pay?
Oh my gosh, they're superheroes. They need to not pay Congress, and it would be solved really quick. Seriously.
You're right.
They need to feel it because it's so unfair.
So if you are traveling, make sure you say thank you to all those folks that are continuing to work, John. The other thing is most of the travelers that I talked to, including those folks, said that they're not going to be traveling for Thanksgiving. Either they scrapped their plans. I talked to a few people who have said that, and that includes myself, by the way. I was going to be flying for Thanksgiving, and I'm not going to do that now. And others, just for fear that this could continue, or as Secretary Duffy did talk about, those residual impacts and effects, including and among other concerns about the retirement of those air traffic and flight controllers. John, back to you.
Sounds like that one passenger hasn't figured out who should be getting paid and who should not be getting paid. John, real quick before you go, a couple of questions. What surprised you most about the time you've spent at the airport recently?
Say that again, because I literally had a jet flying over right behind me.
My timing is impeccable. The question was, and if you can hear me, what was the biggest surprise for you as spending a couple days at the airport there throughout these delays and cancellations?
Well, yeah, well, things here have been pretty smooth. I got to be honest. It's not too bad. We're in between Terminal 1 and Terminal 2. Terminal 3 is usually much busier. So Florida Hollywood International seems to be okay. Miami is okay as well. But also the people who, I've talked to a lot of people who either were, like I said, we're going to scrap those travel plans for Thanksgiving, but also we're kind of following a lot of the guidelines, buying the travel insurance, booking even other tickets as well, and certainly getting the travel insurance. But yeah, we've spent the last 2 days here, breathing in jet fuel all day and tracking the delays and cancellations. Not a terrible gig. I've had worse, John, but yeah.
There are worse gigs. At least there's places to eat nearby. And the benefit of Florida, of course, it didn't have to deal with some of the weather that some of the other airports had to deal with as well. John, it's great to see you. Get out of the jet fuel. Come inside.
Thank you, sir.
New York and New Jersey residents are fleeing to lower tax states, according to a report From unleashed prosperity, New York lost $517 billion in resident incomes from the years between 2013 and 2022. During that same time period, New Jersey lost $170 billion. On the other hand, states saw residents' incomes grow the most between 2013 and 2022. Those states are Florida, with a gain of just over $1 trillion, and Texas, which saw a $290 billion uptick. Well, coming up, President Trump is demanding a new pardon. Who is it? We'll tell you when the record continues.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age, here with my wife Shirley, who is 83. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now, we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you.
It really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order now. You'll be glad you did.
Joining us is Dr. Drew from the Wellness Company with advice for dealing with seasonal colds and flu. Doctor?
Cold and flu season is here, and every year you or a loved one gets sick. Your doctor can't see you. Waiting in a crowded urgent care is brutal. This is a particularly bad cold and flu season, and it's why doctors suggest every family needs an emergency medical kit. Your medical emergency kit is filled with essential prescriptions. It includes antibiotics like generic Z-Pak to get well faster, amoxicillin for pneumonia, strep throat, ear infections, plus prescriptions for nausea and UTIs, and even ivermectin. It's easy. Just match your symptoms to the prescription in your guidebook or call the telemedicine doctor standing by. Take your medication early and feel better faster. Having a medical emergency kit is like having an urgent care in your home. No waiting to see a doctor, no lines at the pharmacy.
Smart advice. We've shared the website and discount code below to save viewers $45. Order now and your kit will be rushed to your door. Thank you, doctor.
Nobody wants to put a new roof over their head. It's too expensive. And if they can extend the life of that roof and get 5 more years or 10 more years, it's a no-brainer.
What Roofmax does is it helps people in that they don't have to spend that $15,000, $20,000 on a new roof. They can spend pennies on the dollar.
The Roofmax product was a small percentage of cost of replacing a roof.
This is a great financial decision for us as a community.
When I first decided to invest in gold, I was a bit nervous and unsure how to start. Luckily, I found Noble Gold Investments. From the very first call, they made investing easy. No pushy sales tactics, no gimmicks, and no confusing free silver offers with hidden fees. Just honest advice tailored to my needs, giving me confidence every step of the way. If you're new to gold investing or want a partner you can trust, visit noblegoldinvestments.com.
$600 a year. If you're 50 plus, you could save up to that much by switching 2 unlimited lines from Big Wireless to Consumer Cellular. So why don't you pick up your phone while I take this hammer and see how we can cut your bill. Call Consumer Cellular.
Don't go! I got to. It's time to screen for colon cancer. Also, I'm just going to the porch.
Cologuard is for people 45 plus, at average risk, not high risk.
False positive and negative results may occur. Ask your provider or request Cologuard online.
Today, Israeli President Isaac Herzog received a letter from President Donald Trump. The letter urges Herzog to pardon Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Netanyahu has been facing a long-running corruption trial. The Israeli president has denied the charges and has pled not guilty. Meanwhile, our Middle East correspondent, Zach Anders, was embedded with Israeli forces today inside the Gaza Strip as Phase 2 of the president's peace plan calls for Hamas to disarm. What happens if they don't? Zach joins us live now. Zach, I also understand you viewed what's come to be known as the yellow line, which is the marker that separates the Hamas-controlled area from the IDF-controlled area inside Gaza. What more can you tell us?
Yeah, hey, good to be with you, John. Yeah, the yellow line, that's how we're calling this dividing line between the Israeli-controlled side of Gaza and the side still dominated by Hamas. Now, you'll remember the IDF only partially withdrew from Gaza when Phase 1 of the president's peace plan went into effect. Israel's still controlling roughly 50% of Gaza. Now, this is the view from the Israeli position overlooking that yellow line. It's like looking at the aftermath of a 9.0 earthquake. It's just absolute destruction. It's really tough to witness with your own eyes, and you can hardly make out where one building might have stood, where the roads might have been. Just about everything. It's toppled into one expansive pile of concrete and sand. This is what a lot of Gaza looks like now. Of course, the problem with drawing a yellow line on a map, how can anyone tell from the ground where that line is? And we certainly couldn't from this vantage point. You're seeing some of the video that I took today. They only allowed just me to come in with one camera here. Now, the IDF tells us that they have been placing large concrete barriers painted yellow, and that the bulldozers have been creating a clearing to try and make it obvious where the Hamas side ends and where the IDF side of Gaza begins. Here's the IDF spokesman when we asked about what happens if civilians walk across that line and they don't realize it.
It's not a fire line. It is a line to not cross, but we take a lot of steps and a lot of warnings to make sure that people understand they're crossing the line and have many opportunities to move back. And it's very important to say, most of the violations are Hamas. It's not an accident. It's Hamas violating crossing, even armed in many occasions, crossing the yellow line, trying to test us, trying to test this ceasefire agreement.
Now, yesterday, European officials cited in a Reuters report claimed phase 2 of the peace plan is stalled, sharing that they're concerned that this de facto partition of Gaza now could stand indefinitely. And last month, U.S. officials were telling us that the idea here for this side of Gaza, this side of the yellow line, could be to rebuild this side first, that all the reconstruction aid would only flow on this side. And if Hamas continues to disarm or refuse to disarm, that given that they would not receive any of that reconstruction aid. But as you're looking at all these images here, and given the scale of the destruction, you can only imagine how long it will take, years to rebuild. Independent estimates are putting that price tag in the billions, to say nothing of sorting out the property rights or compensation, because you're looking at what was once Gazans' homes and their lands, and this is just rubble. How are you going to go in there? I'm sure back home in the States, we'd be used to all the headache of trying to deal with the property and the planning department and trying to figure out where my property begins and theirs ends. This is a massive problem going forward, and that's what we hear from the Gazans is, my house is destroyed and I want to go back. That's my land and it's been in my family for generations. That said, today, the IDF was showing all this and told us that that neighborhood that we're looking at here that you just saw on camera, that was one of the areas of the heaviest areas of ground fighting in Gaza. And one soldier came up to me and claimed that he said almost every house, when they were going through destroying them or hitting them with airstrikes, that almost every house had an access point into the underground tunnel network. Now, we haven't seen that ourselves. We have seen evidence of it in a lot of these homes, of course. But the wide scale of destruction here, John, it's just so hard to put into words what it really looks like up close.
Yeah, just immense, the network of these tunnels, and sounds pretty accurate based on what I've heard as well. Zach Anders live for us in Israel. Thank you, Zach. Coming up, you might want to look up tonight. We'll talk about why when the record continues.
It's true. I am an America First, liberty-loving Latino. That's why I know this country is worth fighting for. That's why the Chris Salcedo Show will always tell you the truth.
The Chris Salcedo Show, for the news you need to know.
I'm a martial artist, a skydiver, a pilot, and all of them require your feet to work. Get up in the morning, and it felt like I was standing on marbles on my heel. When I went into the Good Feet store, the fitting was personalized. It was all about me. You put in the arch supports and your day becomes better and the sun shines, the unicorns run by, and it's a good life. I'm Randy, and that's my Good Feet story.
See for yourself with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
What's gold is new again. Pardon the pun. But considering gold has been used as currency since around 550 BC, it has been on fire the past year. I'm here with Daniel Boston, the founder of Preserve Gold. Why is gold so stable and such a good investment for many people?
Take the central bank, for example, the Federal Reserve. They print money out of thin air, and then they take that printed money to go buy hard assets like gold to protect themselves against the very risks that they're creating. So I always tell people, don't do what the big players are telling you to do. Do what they're doing themselves.
Yeah, watch what they're doing.
That's correct.
Okay. If people are interested in investing with preserved gold, how do they get started?
Text Newsmax to 50505 to get your free information and up to $15,000 in free gold and silver with a qualified purchase. That's right. Text Newsmax to 50505.
All right. No way you can miss it.
Every day, bumps and bangs happen. Bruises are optional. Used daily, dermatologist-recommended Dermend Moisturizing Bruise Cream can help restore your skin's natural barrier and reduce the appearance of bruises. If you have mature skin and bruise easily, get Dermend Moisturizing Bruise Cream in the first aid aisle and get back to having way too much fun.
There's nothing worse than losing your dog before their time.
That's why I created Dr. Marty Nature's Blend, designed to help dogs with everything from digestive issues to itching, even moving better.
Nature's Blend works because it's freeze-dried. So instead of destroying the nutrients with high heat, they all get right into your dog's body.
Take it from a veterinarian with over 50 years of experience saving dogs' lives. I have never seen a food make this much impact on a dog's health.
For a limited time, get up to 54% off Dr. Marty Nature's Blend, plus a free gift with our special TV offer. Call or go to drmartypets.com/TV.
I'm Elmer Heinrich, at 91 years of age, with my wife Shirley, who is 83. Now, both of us are still cutting a wide swath in life, all because of Immuno 150. Now, neither of us have any kind of sickness, and we're as flexible as we were 30 years ago, and we still do the physical things we did 30 years ago. Now, we are asking you to use Immuno 150 like we do. Give it a chance for at least 90 days so that you can see what 70 plant minerals and 80 additional nutrients can do for you. You won't believe it. Immuno 150 is an awesome nutritional supplement. There's nothing like it.
Yes, it really is incredible.
Yeah, try it. You will be surprised. Order online or call the number listed on the screen, but don't place your order until after you've watched the videos on our website. Thank you from both of us, and God bless.
Well, this is pretty cool, right? The northern lights captured in the skies in several states last night that don't normally get to see this phenomenon. This is in Iowa. What's causing these lights? Meteorologists say there is a rare geomagnetic storm happening in space, and there is some more video of the lights from New Jersey. Now, despite the beauty, this geomagnetic storm could get stronger tonight. Forecasters warn this could cause power fluctuations, GPS interference, and disrupt some radios. But don't panic. It's not serious. It will not last long. It is cool to look at, though. Thanks for watching. The Chris Salcedo Show is up next.